Hi everyone, warmly welcome to all of you with another important second lecture of confined space. In the previous topic, we discussed three questions: what is confined space, and what is confined space entry, and the third topic was the examples of confined space. So in the previous topic, of course, we learned, it's not designed for human occupancy, thus called confined space. Also have plenty of safety and health hazards, toxic environment going to be there. And most importantly, several examples we noted, including excavated area deeper than 1.2 meter or 4 feet. Also, manholes, the ducts, barge compartments, and several other places, especially in oil and gas industry or high hazardous industries, including construction even. But now the next topic relevant to confined space is all about the entry program. The entry program, as usual, I mentioned, is kind of a master plan. How we gonna make sure, but who will be the planner? Who will work on it actually? So the confined space entry program, basically, this is kind of a proponent program. You all sit together as a contractor, as a Aramco, you sit together and you finalize that CSC program. And that's why it's clearly mentioned procurement department's local program. What you have to do is identify confined spaces within this program. That must be part of important part of this program. So identify hazards of confined spaces proactively rather than you are supposed to start the project and just on time you are trying to do it. Make sure be proactive. It's kind of a due diligence also, and developing confined space entry plan. So such informations are important to complete our risk assessments, the GSA and several other risk assessment models are there. And also proactively we need to see what training requirements and qualifications are important for this CSC program, and also rescue procedures. Rescue procedures. Okay, so emergency response plan, rescue procedures. Now, confined space entry permits. So where we required confined space entry permits are mandatory before entry into the confined spaces within Saudi Aramco facility or any other facility you are working, maybe with Sadara, with SABIC, with Royal Commission or Saudi Electricity or any mega construction brand is there. Wherever you are performing the project, make sure if confined spaces are there, make sure you get proper permits, before you get entered, especially in Saudi Aramco facility or even confined spaces at project site. So these two requirements are there: confined spaces within Saudi Aramco or any brand you are working for, and confined spaces at a project site. Now, any master plan or kind of program can never be successful until you allocate the roles and responsibilities. So let's discuss who would be responsible for what. So let's talk about issuers and receivers, because there must be permit issuers and permit receivers, work permit issuers, work permit receivers. What are their responsibilities as a front leader, I would say, for that particular project? What they're going to do is identify which permits are required. That is number one requirement and kind of responsibility. Second thing is they are responsible to conduct a joint site inspection, and they are also responsible to identify and document hazards and precautions on the permit form. Okay, and also complete the hazard analysis checklist. Attach additional forms to the permit if required. Okay, any additional forms, like if excavation is involved, maybe pre-excavation checklist. If you have uh, rigging or lifting of 40 tons or above, maybe rigger level 1 also, you know the critical lift plan you need to attach. So now once issuer and receiver have done their part, and they are of course responsible as a front leader, now the management is responsible to provide several things or kind of resources. Especially they are responsible to develop CSC program, and they are the one developing and reviewing CSC plans. They have to chop up that master plan into sub plans and also identify the training and qualifications, the right person for the right job. It's not like anyone they're gonna hire and okay, just go ahead. No, no, no. Since it's a red zone, it's kind of a tickling bomb. Confined spaces mean you don't get a second chance. Any smallest mistake, it's all over, right? That's why we need right person for the right job, the well-trained, competent, qualified, experienced professionals, and also mandate training that restrict confined space entry only to the trained personnel. Designate confined space entry supervisor, that is the responsibility of management, and same way provide equipment required for safe confined space entry. They're also responsible for conducting drills and emergency scenarios. This is another responsibility of management. Now, this management, of course, they will finalize plan and provide our resources, but the real implementer we required in shape of CSC supervisors. That's why I call them, they're the most important one, because a lot of responsibilities are there, like assigned by the issuer. First of all, assigned by the issuer, because the issuer is the one to decide who will be the CSC supervisor. And sometimes the issuer itself is kind of a supervisor. So decide if conditions are acceptable for entry, authorizes entry, supervises entry operations, and also he's responsible as a stopper of entry if required. Generally the work permit issuer, as I mentioned earlier. And also he is responsible to review the entry plan. He must be a communicator, because he's the one going to communicate the plan with entrants and standby man. He's responsible to implement of permits and plans. So implementation is also the responsibility of supervisor. He would also be supporting the operation as a trainer, like training of entrants and standby men, especially the toolbox meetings and several inductions. Designate trained standby men as well. Still going on, generally issues CSC permits and provides manpower and coordinate activities of multiple crews. So that means he'll be taking care that all sort of planned resources or the planned items are well implemented, and also he's responsible to check isolation. And for confined space isolation, the disconnection or blinding, two methods are acceptable, or purging and gas test results would also be the responsibility. No, he's also responsible as a monitor to monitor the confined space activity, ensures logs are completed, and also ensures PPs is provided and used, provides communication equipment as well. That is also part of his responsibility, and provide immediate response equipment. So this gentleman is having a lot of responsibilities. Emergency rescue capabilities, like a good rescuer, the efficient one. And also he is responsible to stops confined space entry when necessary. Now let's talk about standby man. So we started learning, what are the responsibilities of issuers and receivers, and later on we discussed the responsibilities of management, and then CSC supervisor, and now we are going to discuss about confined space CSC standby man. Okay, confined space entry standby man. Well, very similar activities, because the supervisor, so CSC supervisor is the one who hire and deploys standby man. So, but he must be capable to review the entry plan and permit, same like CSC supervisor. He must also understand and must be capable to identify the possible hazards and maintain entry log. This is the major responsibility, and also monitor activities inside and outside the confined space. Now you need to stop and think. Inside and outside. Monitoring activities outside is quite understandable, but how are you going to monitor inside confined spaces, what is going on, what are the activities. So he'll be maintaining through two-way communication, maintains two-way communication. Okay, that is his major responsibility. Also notifies personnel in the event of an emergency. Note, in some cases the standby man may be assigned as a fire watch. Now, standby man, still responsibilities are going on, does not leave the entry point. That means no other jobs, never enter the confined space. Primary responsibility, no other duties. So, a standby man means only a standby man. But most importantly, he orders entrant to evacuate when conditions or any unsafe condition develops, or entrant displays unusual behavior effects from hazard exposure. So any unusual behavior or any sort of unsafe condition is authorized to stop and tell the entrants to come out. If the standby man leaves the area and no relief is provided, the entrant must evacuate the space. Now the last team member is the entrant. Entrant could be anyone as per the CSC plan, whoever is required for the project. But make sure if you are the entrant and going inside the confined space for performing something, any job, make sure you are capable for performing these responsibilities actually. So a trained worker, make sure you are trained enough, who will go into a confined space to perform assigned work. You must be capable to review all permits and also review entry plan, and most importantly checks work site and site preparation, understand potential hazards in the confined space. So again, you must also be capable enough to identify the potential hazards belongs to confined space, and that is why sometimes as a trainer I suggest, even as a consultant, we suggest several companies that let your every employee of the company to be trained as a hazard recognizer. So hazard recognition and control, this training should be given to all the employees. And as an entrant, you must be trained to use the PP, the personal protective equipment. And make sure you never enter until safety requirements are in place. So your safety, your life, your responsibility first of all. Don't accept that somebody will be keeping you safe all the time. Yes, all are there to support you, to provide you some services, but does not mean that they can guarantee your safety 100%. That is why you need to play your role. Your family is waiting, your life is important, you are the hero of your family. So in that context, safety is your own necessity, right? So you must be capable to fulfill safety requirements and make sure they are in place, and otherwise don't get entered. Clearly you have to understand the work assignment, what exactly is expected and expected by the management, and what exactly you are going to perform there, and are you capable to perform. If there is any doubt, get training properly, otherwise learn to say no actually. If you're not confident enough to perform any sort of technical activity, especially in uh, you know dangerous confined spaces which are sometimes configured, sometimes very narrow, so in that context make sure you are confident enough to say yes or say no as well. So you are also responsible to maintain communication with standby man. That's why it's kind of a two-way communication, and alerts the standby man and other entrants to exit when order to evacuate is given, warning signs or symptoms of exposure develop, or emergency alarm is activated. So I hope this module number 2, like the CSC program, will have give you a clear understanding like what is that program is all about, and most importantly who is responsible for what, especially the work permit issuers and receivers, then the management, and most importantly the responsibilities of CSC supervisor, and also standby man, including the entrant. But yes, sometime if there is a hot work, we use fire watcher. If there is a rigging and lifting activity at some level, according to the permit, according to the nature of project, we use several persons, So, but for confined space, these are important professionals we require, to perform the job more safely. Now, I hope it will give you a clear idea who is responsible for what. So, in the next lecture, we will discuss how we're gonna plan CSC uh, planning. How we're gonna implement, how we're gonna follow that plan actually, and what things matters a lot to plan properly. So, in the next lecture, stay tuned. Uh, uh, because that will be the third lecture of confined space, and I hope these videos are going to be beneficial for all of you, or several people, whoever is working in different kind of hazardous industries, especially in construction, oil and gas, chemical, mining industry, or any industry where you believe waste management treatment plant companies and several others, wherever you have confined spaces. And to be very honest, in every company, some confined spaces are definitely there. Okay, guys, take care of yourself. Thank you very much.